So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Sir Sleaze Starmer, who allegedly broke parliamentary rules by failing to declare that a donor brought designer clothes for his wife Victoria. The PM faced an investigation after he did not disclose gifts from Lord Ali, the peer who buys his suits and glasses. And so this is quite interesting that this guy, he's funding the Starmer kind of family, I guess. I wonder if he's going to buy clothes for the kids next. I wonder if he's doing this because he genuinely cares what Starmer looks like, even though the fit on this is awful, and his glasses make him look like a weird Harry Potter. Or is he going to be the guy who has Starmer's ear, and so when other people come by, they'll give Lord Ali money, and that way, in terms of, they might donate money to his campaigns or whatever, and he'd have Starmer's ear to help them out. That's what we saw under Boris Johnson. I guess the new boss is the same as the old one. Steve Swinford saying Starmer accepted donations to pay for his and his wife's clothes so they can look their best for the British people, according to David Lammy, saying unless you're a billionaire like the last one, you rely on political donations when even those suits are not that expensive, especially when you're in the top percentage of earners.
Labour Party for the last few years has made a lot of play of misdemeanours or bad standards or bad behaviour in the Conservative Party. What are our viewers meant to think when they see that the Prime Minister didn't declare outfits that were given to his wife by a wealthy donor properly? What are they meant to think of that?
Well, look, I would say to them that the Prime Minister did declare funds that he received from Lord Ali. He's then gone back to the Parliamentary Commissioner to further check details on some of those funds that have made their way to his wife. So he has done that, and he is seeking to comply with the rules. So this is not an issue of transparency. He is attempting to be transparent. The truth is
If there was no issue, I don't think he would have gone back. That's the thing. I don't think he would have gone back to the Parliamentary Commissioner to ask about it.
Our system. I've just come back from the United States, where US presidents and first ladies have a huge budget.
See, apparently that's not true. That's been community noted. US presidents have to pay for their own clothing, and that that of their spouses is neither paid for by taxpayers nor is it publicly funded. So it's not true.
Labour Party.
There's no specific budget for their clothing.
Paid for by the taxpayer so that they look their best on behalf of the US people. We don't have that system over here. The truth is that successive prime ministers, unless you're a billionaire like the last one...
Again, it's not that expensive to buy good suits, guys.
...do rely on donations, political donations, so they can look their best, both in the hope of representing the country, if you're in the opposition, or indeed as Prime Minister. That's the situation.
But with respect, the Starmers aren't exactly broke. I mean, he had big senior jobs, was paid very well, paid very well as Prime Minister.
I'm not suggesting the Prime Minister is broke, and of course we can have that debate.
You can't survive off 150,000 in this country. So imagine what it's like for the people not earning, 140 plus.
But the point is this. The point is this, that successive Prime Ministers want to look their best, and their partners, for the country. That is what lies behind this. And Lord Ali...
Just embarrassing.
...is a long-standing peer. He's been in the House of Lords.
This is just, if this was Boris Johnson, it would go the other way. And, I go back to this, guys. Like, this fit is not good. Maybe Lord Ali should have spent less money on the suits and more money on a tailor. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, guys. And, remember this, David Lammy saying wallpaper, £840 a roll, a baby bear sofa, 10k, a lily drum table, 3k, an armchair, 6k, Boris Johnson's last scrap of integrity. So it's wrong for donors to pay for his furnishings or whatever, but paying for his clothes, that's okay.
I've always approached politics on the basis that politics should be about service.
Didn't realise it was to serve yourself and getting you and your wife some new clothes. This one really is just another Labour MP trying to defend this.
Let me start with Lady Starmer's clothing. She looked great in her new outfit yesterday at London Fashion Week, worth £2,500. She has, though, been accused of crass insensitivity by one Labour backbencher. What's your view?
Well, I think that my understanding is that that outfit was borrowed to try to showcase British fashion, which is one of our great
I mean, the only reason people are talking about the outfit is because it was borrowed from a donor, or there was apparently money lent from a donor. So it's not really doing that, is it?
Export earners, and there's nothing unusual about people who are going to be photographed borrowing gowns for events like that.
Yeah, but appearing yesterday at the fashion show was rather fanning the flames, wasn't it, of the controversy over accepting expensive clothing while her husband's nicking 300 quid from pensioners.
Framing there's a burn.
Well, I think that she was probably, I can't speak for her, but I think that she was probably wanting to play her part in highlighting.
It's just embarrassing. It gets worse, guys.
Issue. We know about it because he's been transparent.
But you have an opinion on it. But should he not buy his own glasses? You're wearing a pair of glasses now. You presumably paid for them yourself. I'm wearing a pair of glasses now. I paid for them myself.
I too am wearing a pair of glasses, and I paid for them myself.
Why shouldn't the Prime Minister?
Well, the Prime Minister has had his say on that, and if next time you interview him, you could ask him yourself. I mean,
if I didn't tell you this was a Labour MP, right, and I told you Boris Johnson was in charge, this is the most conservative kind of argument I've ever heard in terms of as the party, not the ideology. The most Tory argument. Oh, well, he's not here. Why don't you ask him? Or when you see him, ask him if he's not hiding in a fridge. Like the Prime Minister's interviews with everyone.
I don't have an opinion.
You must have an opinion
on what the Prime Minister does in these instances.
Well, I'll tell you why you might have an opinion, because Angela Rayner had an opinion when Boris Johnson was getting money from donors. She tweeted, "What right does a man who complains he can't live on 150 grand a year and asks Tory donors to fund his luxury wallpaper habit, what right does he have to lecture someone trying to survive on £80 a week?" That's what Labour attacked Boris Johnson for doing. And now you've got someone who has a luxury glasses habit, who's taking money from pensioners. People are going to have an opinion on that, aren't they?
Okay, you've had your rant.
Is that a rant? I'm asking a question. You're honestly saying that...
I don't know. It just spits in the face of the public, really, when I think this is a legitimate question he's asking here. And she's like, well, you've had your rant.
It's completely in your... No one...
I don't know. I think this lot seem as bad in some ways as the last lot, I'll be honest. I don't get it. Starmer says he has to accept hospitality tickets to Arsenal for security reasons. So, he talked about, he believes in the politics of service. I guess is to serve himself again because he wants to watch his beloved Arsenal. And he's going to happily accept donor money to keep watching Arsenal. You'd think if the Prime Minister cared about this country so much, he'd just watch him on the TV. No. If you can't afford to go, even though I'm sure he has a season ticket, it just doesn't make sense. It's just really bad. It's just corruption, honestly.
Farmers buy their own clothes.
Well, it's worth saying Keir Starmer's wife works for the NHS. She's not a millionairess. She's not someone of sort of grand...
Well, if that's the case, then, David Lammy was wrong because, Sunak's not the billionaire. His wife is.
Origins, and she needed a bit of extra help in this very unusual role of being the PM spouse. But the key thing here is the one about transparency, which is there's no sort of smoking gun of sort of an abuse of public office here, or in terms of donations too. What's happened is the Prime Minister was being extra scrupulous in going back and looking at the records. What did we need to declare, and have we declared everything we needed to? It's not as if a newspaper suddenly exposed this as being a new dress that hadn't been declared. It was the PM himself that did it, and the only expose was the fact that he declared it.
Right, it was a late declaration. I mean, they certainly did approach the parliamentary authorities, but the initial and original question, why can't they buy their own clothes? Yes, you've made the point about Victoria Starmer working in the NHS, but they can afford to buy their own clothes.
Look, everyone can afford to buy their own clothes. I mean, I'm not a former fashion correspondent, I'm a former political correspondent, so don't get me on the detail of the dresses. But she obviously felt she needed some extra help. And, it's not as if this is like the Tories accepting £5 million from Frank Hester, who said some racist and dangerous...
No, it's bad because it's, cause the Frank Hester money was bad because Frank Hester's racist. He's made racist remarks. That's bad, but Lord Ali, he's fine. You can accept money from Lord Ali because he hasn't said, racist stuff. But Frank Hester is where we draw the line because of racism. No, it's corruption. It should be called out. This was the earlier clip we looked at. I'm just not seeing it, guys, with these defences that are coming up with. You got Labour insiders fear that a new set of changes to the rulebook going to the NEC today could prevent challengers from forcing a leadership election to be held. Again, this is them securing their position as, really the top of the party. and then you've got someone who's been chosen from a shortlist of one. I have seen other clips of people trying to defend Starmer, saying, look, he's not his fault. He earns less money than, I don't know, the president of the USA. And so, why shouldn't he get some help when it comes to clothing? Which, again, first of all, if you're going to be corrupt, at least get a proper tailor. Yeah. I'm no style icon myself, but I can tell you that looks weird. And secondly, you're on over 100k, mate. You're in the top 1% of earners, as Owen Jones pointed out. I think it was on the Right Stuff show. I can't remember what the Jeremy Vine show. You can afford your own suit. You can afford your own clothes, your own glasses. You're choosing to take donor money. The real question is, what do these donors want in exchange? Is it PFI contracts? Is it other kind of private kind of investments? What do they want in exchange? That's what we're waiting to see from these investments. Because 9 times out of 10, rich people don't just give away money. They do it for an investment, whether it's to look good, for PR reasons, or it's because they're trying to buy influence. The question is, which one is this Labour Lord doing? But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.